This week, Jeff is going to talk to us about processing and why do we have to process? What does that look like, and what does that mean for us? Welcome, Jeff.
Well, thank you, Beth. I appreciate it. Okay, so this could get a little bit technical, but I'm going to pull the covers back on how vibrational healing works. So bear with me. The first law of the universe is vibration. Everything vibrates. And so if you work with me one-on-one, you've heard me say everything is energy, energy is impressed upon matter, and you are matter. Okay. So everything vibrates. So over here is your body mind field complex. And this is the energetic egg that I've talked about many, many times. And inside of that egg is everything that makes you up or allows you to be walking this earth as a spiritual being, having a human experience. Your physical, mental, emotional, spiritual bodies, your chakras, meridians, your bodies of consciousness, your soul, your central channel, your life force is all in this energetic egg. And so that's what we're constantly working on, trying to make that as clean and as pristine as possible. But things get trapped in this energetic egg, and they get trapped as a vibration. And so some of the things that get trapped, for example, in a first session that I work with people on is things like toxic love, toxic fear, enmeshed emotions, trapped emotions, shock, panic, trauma. They all have a vibration, and then they get lodged in this field. And when there's something else in this field other than what's supposed to be there, it blocks your consciousness. So because there's other things occupying, there's only so much space in here, and the shock, panic, and trauma is lodged in here, then there's no room for who you really be. You know, you being happy, healthy, joyful, fearless, loving, and alive. So the way you get rid of that is you put in a vibration. So the first law of the universe is vibration. And so this black line here, let's say, represents trapped emotion. That's an easy one, a very common one. And that happens when we have an experience and we just shove it down, just push it down and don't let it come out. We don't deal with it. We don't pay attention to it. And so what you do is you put in the opposite of that frequency. So this is the vibration of trapped emotion. This is the geometric frequency of the opposite. These two touch and then they go to zero. Okay. And that's how you eliminate that vibration. The first law of the universe is vibration. And it goes to zero. And then that energy leaves. Okay. And that's what this represents here. So this is a field that's being worked on. And these red squiggly lines are the trapped emotion leaving the field, disappearing from the field. Then once that trapped emotion leaves, what rolls in is consciousness, because nature abhors a vacuum, and you're able to hold more and more of your own consciousness, which means more and more of you, who you genuinely are. Okay. So the way you do this is you put a code program into the body mind field complex. And that code program is made of sacred geometric codes and frequencies. A single code program for doing that can contain millions of codes and frequencies. So you identify trapped emotions, you create the code program to eliminate trapped emotions, download it to the individual, and then their field goes off and processes that. Then the field releases. Now, here's what processing is. It's similar to a computer. If you're familiar at all with the way a computer works, there's a thing called a CPU, a central processing unit. And so you sit down at your computer, and I know you've all had this experience where you will fire up applications. And so you go in and click on Word and it pops right up. And then you go and you click on Excel and it comes up, but it comes up a little bit slower. And then you go in and you click on Internet Explorer, it comes up, but it takes a while to load. So, and then you get anxious. You got to fire all your applications up. You want to check email. So it's click, 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 click. So it pops up on the screen and it looks like there's like your computer is handling all these tasks at once, but that's not the way it really works. And you can tell by the lag time in the way the applications pop up. You've got one central processing unit, and every command you give it, it's busy trying to fulfill that. So that's why Word pops up really fast, or the first Internet Explorer session pops up really fast. And then the rest of them are slower and slower. And then there comes a time when you try to open mail and it just doesn't do anything. And then you click, 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 oh, I got to hit it again, hit it again, hit it again. Well, that's not because it didn't take the command. It's because that central processing unit does one thing at a time. Now, to the eye, to the human being sitting there at your desk, you think it's doing multiple things at a time. It's not. It's processing one command at a time. One command in, one command out, one command in, one command out. Eventually, it'll catch up. Okay. So your body mind field complex is like a large computer. It works just like that. So when we have a session and we're working on removing trapped emotions or shock, panic, and trauma, or even doing repair work around things like abandonment and despair and terror and fear and all the things that get trapped, I've downloaded millions of codes and frequencies, a command into your field, and your field is searching and finding those and releasing them. And when it does that, it takes physical energy for that to happen. And so when your field is busy releasing all this energy, sometimes it's so heavy and so processing centered that there's not enough energy left over for your day-to-day life. There's not enough energy left over for day-to-day activity. So I will get clients that will say, well, on Wednesday, I felt really good, Monday and Tuesday. And then Wednesday, oh my God, I laid on the couch all day. I didn't do anything. Well, that's okay. But what's happening is you've overrun this processor. You're so busy releasing and letting go that you don't have enough energy left over for your day-to-day activity. And that's processing. That's literally just the way a computer works. The field is paying attention to the commands that were given to it, the reminding of how it's supposed to look, and the way and telling it what it's supposed to let go of. So it's busy searching and finding that. Okay. The other thing processing does is, as this energy releases, let's say it's trapped emotions. That's what these squiggly lines represent. As it comes up and out of the energy field, you feel it one last time. So I get people who are, we do a follow-up session and they're kind of worried. Oh, I was feeling depressed. I was feeling so anxious. I was just, my skin was crawling, or some comment like that. And I have to remind them, it's not because you're being re-traumatized. It's not because you're reliving the experience. It's because this energy is coming up and out and you're feeling it one last time as it leaves the field. And this is different. It's leaving the field. You're not reliving it. You're not re-experiencing it. Just leaving the field. That's how it works. So that's what processing is. Your field is constantly working to let go of what these commands are from these code programs. All right. And why you have to do that? Well, I set it up to do this way because as your field is releasing, your field is also remembering how to do it on its own. Because my job is to get you up on your feet and out in the world and functioning as a highly conscious being and being happy, healthy, joyful, fearless, loving, and alive, and not carrying all this extra baggage in here. And so I'm literally training your field how to do its own work. And that's important. That's very important, because you would not hire a personal trainer in a gym and show up at the gym and then stand there and watch that personal trainer lift weights. That does you no good. This processing is reminding your field and teaching it how to let go. So in the future, when an emotion comes in, you don't shove it down. You feel it, you experience it, you take the lesson from it, and then you immediately release the energy and it's gone. And so that way you don't end up carrying all this baggage for the rest of your life. Or it's like a bag. I tell people quite often, it's like a bag that you have over your shoulder An emotion comes in, you shove it in the bag. An experience comes in, you shove it in the bag. Something you don't like happens, you shove it in the bag. And then before you know it, that bag is like, it's impacting you like this. When you have too much of this energy accumulating, it will manifest as moods, the moods of your life, and it will manifest as your physical stature. So instead of shoulders back, head up, I'm happy, healthy, joyful, fearless, loving, alive. I'm a spiritual being having a human experience. It's like I'm a human carrying all this crap on my back. And so that's what we're doing is we're retraining and retraining and retraining the field until it can stand on its own and do its own work. And that's really what processing is about. And sometimes people get confused by the processing because I tell them at the end of a session, especially at the end of a first session, I tell them, I give them this warning, if you will. And I say, all right, the rest of today and tomorrow are going to be really good days for you because you now have energy in your field that you haven't had your whole life. You've got the connection to the creator back. You have your soul back in your body, mind, field complex. You're reconnected to the earth. You can feel the safety and the security in this connection. So these are going to be really good days. And then watch out because days 3, 4, 4, 5, you're going to be letting go of trapped emotions, shock, panic, trauma, shame, abandonment, despair. All those things are going to come up and out. That's what these are. And when that comes out, you're going to feel it. And it's going to be what a lot of people will refer to it as a healing crisis, where you take a couple steps back before you move forward again. So a couple good days, a couple rough days, and then the good days return. And then it's time to do another round of work. So that's the way it works. And processing again is letting go of this energy and retraining the field to do so. And I want to repeat, you're this magnificent, you're walking around in this magnificent human computer and you're occupying this field. So am I answering your question, Beth? Any questions on that?
Yes, you are, but I have one more question.
Okay.
What is a dump and drain?
Oh, wow. That's a great question. Okay. So sometimes what happens is this will process at 100%. Okay. And that's the days you're on the couch and you're feeling this so rapidly. You're feeling all this stuff as it leaves the field. Now it's not super intense, but it's there and it's there and you're not going to have a very free or happy day that day. But you got to break an egg to make an omelet, right? But what is a dump and drain? A dump and drain is a series of frequencies or codes I can send to the field that says, okay, take this from processing at 100% down to 20% or 30% or something more manageable so the person can go about their life. So they can get up off the couch and go do something that day. Sometimes the field gets so excited, for lack of a better term, that it's releasing this stuff. It does too much too fast. And this doesn't happen a lot, but when it does happen, you can do a dump and drain and slow the whole process down, and life comes back to a little bit more stated normal. So that's a tool and technique. I tell people sometimes this work can be a little difficult, but remember, let's say you're 40 years old. It took 40 or 50 years for you to get in this condition, and we're releasing or reversing that condition in a matter of weeks. So it may seem difficult at the time, but it's well worth it because we're undoing 40 or 50 years worth of neglect, if you will, in this field. And so I tell people sometimes it can be a struggle, okay, and a little uncomfortable, but at no time should you ever suffer. The minute suffering occurs, that's when I intervene and slow this process down and bring it, I pull it back. Okay. Suffering is always optional. It's in my world, it's never acceptable. So that's what a dump and drain is for. It's a very ingenious tool that slows this down.
So if I get a dump and drain, would it take me longer to go through the clearing process?
It might slow it down by a day or two or something like that, but it's not gonna, it doesn't drag it out like a long period of time. So, yeah. Anything else?
No, I think we are good.
Okay, so that is what processing is. Remember the first law of the universe, everything is vibration. And when I go down the list with people about what we're working on or what the potential cause is, and we have those discussions, I also want you to understand, because the first law of the universe is vibration, anything that's gone wrong, can be corrected. It can be fixed. All right. So there is never a hopeless case. Sometimes it takes a little digging. Sometimes part of my work is I'm a detective more than anything. It's like, that's why it's important for me to hear somebody's voice, because I can tell right away. Sometimes I can identify right away what the issue is, but sometimes we have to dig. And sometimes a few more questions will point me in the right direction of what needs to be worked on. But everything is vibration. So if it's there and it's causing you problems, it can be reversed and corrected. There's nothing that's not fixable. Okay.
Okay. Thank you, Jeff.